Hello and welcome to What's Your Solution? This is a special program we're going to be doing for the next 4 or 5 weeks all the way through till we actually know what the government is going to be. And the idea of this show is to actually get a specific plan of action from the various political parties to the key problems that are facing this country. We know the problems that we have, whether it's fixing the economy, putting it onto a better track, doing something about women's issues, internal security, foreign policy, corruption. There are lots of issues that are facing us. What are the political parties going to be doing about it? So what we're going to do in this program is try and get each party, which is going to feature, and we'll have different parties every week, who will essentially tell us, this is our solution to this specific problem. A concrete plan of action, which then all of us here, and we have an audience here as well, we can then ask them why we think that plan is a good plan or a bad plan, and are there holes in it. But we're going to kick off in this first episode with the economy. So what's your solution to the economy or making it better? And we have an absolutely superb panel with us. Mr. Anand Sharma, sir, it's great to have you with us. You've been spearheading the Indian economy for the last few years. So I'm sure you think it's not in as bad a shape as everyone else keeps making it out to be. But we will also get you to tell us what the Congress party will intend to do if it comes back to power for the next 5 years to put the economy, or what you'll do with the economy. Piyush Goyal joins us from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Piyush is one of the top thinkers, if I might say, in the BJP on all questions of the economy and finance, and he gets it really well. And I'm sure he's crucially involved in working on whatever the plan is. We're still waiting for that manifesto to come out, but he I'm sure knows what the BJP's economic plans are going to be, and we'll get him to talk about that. And Nilotpal Basu is here from the CPIM. And the CPM's election manifesto, I have to say, has a completely different take on the economy and what should be done to it or done with it than the other parties have. So it will be great to get that slightly different perspective. Perhaps I'm going to start off with you, Anand Sharma, and I'm going to get you to tell us in just a minute or a minute and a half, if I could, what will be your overall thrust? And then I'm going to start getting into specific areas like inflation and taxation and infrastructure.
It's true that India's growth per se, from highs of 9% in the GDP, has come down, and we are projected again to go back this year to at least 6% and to 8% plus by 2016. Now, the thrust, therefore, in future has to be to continue with what is being done on the ground, to raise the share of manufacturing in India's GDP by 10 percentage points in 1 decade, create 100 million skilled jobs in 1 decade. This is not on paper or on manifesto. The policy has been rolled out. It is under implementation. And to complete the 4 important industrial corridors, one is currently under implementation. That is the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, where 4 integrated industrial townships have been launched recently. Another important thrust for us has to be bringing about greater rationalization and uniformity, simplification, which is being done in mission mode nationally, using technology to cut out red tape, to cut out delays, to ensure free flow of information. And also when it comes to startups, the first generation entrepreneurs, so that they have access to patented technology. The offices which have human interface, where delays are there, and delays means harassment or rent seeking. For example, the entire Foreign Trade Directorate General is e-enabled, is paperless. All the ports and terminals stand interlinked. Now the e-biz project is on, which Infosys is doing with us, so that every license, every payment to multiple departments is through a single form, through a single check, which is apportioned through an electronic payment gate. But the second important thing is, which you must know, our GDP would go up by 2 percentage points, and we will be able to create 4 million jobs within a year, extra jobs, if we have the goods and services tax so that it is uniform across the country. Today the taxes are different. If you have X amount to pay for your petrol in Delhi, you may have X plus 10 to pay in Gujarat, or for that matter, X plus 8 in Tamil Nadu, because every state levies its own taxes. We want uniformity across the country and also rationalization through the direct tax code. It will help not only the institutions, better revenue collections, but save our citizens when it comes to delays and harassment.
Piyush, a quick response to some of what you've heard from Mr. Anand Sharma. Any critique you would like to offer on the Congress's plan before I come to your own plan?
First of all, we've seen 10 years of this government, which gave us jobless growth in the first few years, which has given us less than 2 million jobs generated between 2005 and 10, 2.7 million to be precise. They talked of GST, but it's the sincerity of this government which has stalled GST. Just to advise, just to give a little correction to what Mr. Sharma said,
correct.
Petroleum products have been kept out of GST by their government. So in any case, the example he gave of petroleum
it
prices
was the demand, Piyush, of Narendra Modi who led the charge against GST. Let's be truthful. It's your state governments led by Narendra Modi who have opposed.
Okay. All right. Quick critique
Well,
from
I
you,
did not
Nirupal
interrupt you,
Basu, what
Anandji,
you just
but
heard.
wait a minute. They are talking of 100 million jobs in the next 10 years. But their track record is they've created less than 15 million jobs in the last 10 years. And the credibility of the government being what it is, they are the ones who brought retrospective taxation. They are the ones who have delayed direct taxes code for the last 2 years. The standing committee report was given to them 2 years ago. And for both budgets last 2 years, they've been promising to come out with a direct tax code. The companies bill, which was to be rationalized and simplified, has only been made more complicated. They are talking now in terms of tackling corruption. Now they are talking of inflation. What happened when there was a series of scams? Why did the Prime Minister and the Congress leaders and the government not stop these scams from happening? Why did they allow the inflation to take hold of the economy and have double-digit inflation for the last 6 years?
Okay.
What have they done in the last 10 years for anyone to believe that the next 10 years are only going to be any better?
Okay, so your essential question, what have they done in the last 10 years that the next will be any different? Can I just get his comments also?
No, but I think I must respond to him. You have a kind of a hero who is leading your campaign, who is out of 100 giving 100 marks to himself, that is Narendra Modi, and out of 100 giving 0 to UPA, Congress, Dr. Manmohan Singh and all of us. Now let me correct you. You were dealing with the Mickey Mouse economy between 1998 and 2004. During the NDA government, India's GDP grew from 474 billion US dollars to 590 billion. We have almost quadrupled, taking it to 2 trillion US dollars. The foreign exchange reserves at a time when oil prices were $23 per barrel, the Brent crude, and the oil import bill annually was 23 billion US dollars in 2004-05. It has gone up to almost 190 billion, and the Brent crude price has touched even 120. It's never before below 103, $105. You can read it on a daily basis. Yet the foreign exchange reserves, spending this much on oil and gas imports, today are plus 300 billion.
Right.
Vikram, these are completely erroneous, so I would like to correct
I want to look forward, not back. So I'm going to try and move this along.
I'm just telling you, India's trade, two-way trade was 136 billion. Today it has crossed 825 billion US dollars. Ad services, we have crossed 1 trillion. Your national incomes have trebled.
Sir, okay.
We are building institutions. You don't try to mislead.
Now
you have to go to Gujarat and see what's happening there.
I hate to do this to everyone. I'm trying to look at the agenda forward. What's your solution?
Their solution
that he outlined.
Har Har Modi, Dar Modi.
Mr.
Their solution is one.
Anand Sharma,
and you talk of Gujarat model, which is a flop and a disaster in itself.
Okay.
That's why you can't write a manifesto. You are borrowing our ideas and our policies.
Mr. Anand Sharma has given a lot of misleading facts, completely erroneous.
Listen, I have the strength of truth.
I think it is important the nation should know
this we leave to the BJP.
That the Commerce Minister of India does not know his facts right. It's very important the nation should know.
Challenge one fact, Piyush.
I'll challenge all your facts.
One number.
I will challenge each and every one of your facts, sir.
Then you are wrong. And I can only sympathize with you. Because learn to face the truth.
I will
you cannot just hurl everything at us.
Commerce Minister of India cannot be allowed to go away with falsities.
No, you cannot.
So you will have to allow me to correct the
Okay, Piyush, may I catch it? Piyush, tell one fact which is wrong. I'll get it to him, and then can I move forward? I don't want to look backward anymore. I'm trying to get solutions.
Can I ask a
If
question?
Mr. Sharma will allow me to contradict his facts, I would like to correct all his facts.
Okay. Mr. Sharma
deny
and
that?
Mr. Goyal,
Because
Mr.
you
Sharma and
don't
Mr.
know.
Goyal, I'm trying to get you
Because
back to the
Vikram,
solutions for
you
the
cannot.
country.
Sharma does
What's
not
wrong with
know.
their plan going forward?
I
Nilotpal
bet
Basu.
this
These
guy
falsity
today-
in the manifesto.
I think the country today is a prisoner to this bizarre spectacle between Congress and BJP, who essentially argue on the same kind of narrative. My good friend Anand Sharma was saying this is a balanced narrative, but I say this is a fairy tale narrative. Mr. Anand Sharma has not explained that as a result of the economic policy paradigm that they have pursued in the last 5 years, and maybe the entire neoliberal paradigm that has been followed for the last 2 decades in this country, what has happened to employment? Now, it's very clear. We have data from only NSS and CSO, and it shows that the employment growth has been less than 1% during the high growth years, which he was talking about before 2008. Even that time there was jobless growth in this country. And you see, if we break up the GDP, you see clearly corporate profits going up and the component of labor coming down. Okay. There has been unemployment, there has been a shrinking of income, because 94% of the working population in this country is in unorganized sector. They have no social security. Can Anand Sharma explain that why, despite this so-called growth, India has slipped down to 134th position in the Human Development Index?
Okay. Piyush Goyal, I'm throwing the floor to you now, and I'm asking you the same question that I asked Mr. Anand Sharma. If the BJP was to form a government after the 16th of May, please share with us your specific plan of action on what you would like to do with the Indian economy to take it to greater heights. What will be your plan of action?
Foreign exchange reserves, he calculates. He forgets that he inherited an economy where India had surplus foreign exchange compared to external debt, which they have messed up. And today, against 300 billion of forex reserves, India has 426 billion of external debt.
Okay.
So we are at debt and a negative debt position.
All right.
Third,
Now your
the
plan of
short-term
action.
debt,
It
which
was
was 4% when he took over,
63%
is
to
now
GDP in 2004. It's 48 today.
Okay. Piyush?
Well, I never interrupted Mr. Anand Sharma, Vikram, so I hope he will respect the
No, you were
protocol of the
interrupting.
program.
I have to correct
Okay,
you.
now
I never
Piyush,
interrupted while you spoke, sir.
Okay, Piyush, you
Okay.
made your
But
point.
anyway,
Piyush,
let me come
Carry
to
on,
the
carry on.
concrete. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Piyush, now your
it's just that
plans
the
on
Commerce Minister should be
taxation,
better advised
infrastructure, inflation.
rather than
What are
giving
your
us
plans?
falsehoods. We can see a nation where high inflation, food prices are skyrocketing. The people, the common man, the housewife is completely stressed with 6 years of double-digit inflation. Joblessness has been a perennial problem under the UPA. We have to sort out the problem of jobs.
Okay,
it's
how?
important that a credible leadership, I'll come to that. It's important that a credible leadership, which is honest, comes into power and gets the scourge of corruption out of the system. What Mr. Modi, what a government led by Mr. Modi, led by the BJP as a part of the NDA plans to do, is first of all give confidence to the world that the government of India is a decisive government, the government of India is honest, the government of India will fast track the investment cycle, the government of India will not have retroactive and retrospective amendments to tax laws, to government policy which can affect the future credibility of the government. What we need today to reignite the investment cycle is projects which have been stalled for so long, whether because of lack of regulatory clearances, whether due to inadequate coal production, whether because gas is not available for power plants and fertilizer plants. What we need today is a government which is decisive, a government which does not scare away investors with tax officials breathing down their neck and harassing investors, a government which has policy stability, which has decisions taken in a transparent manner, where prices are discovered or government natural resources are given out to people through a transparent price discovery mechanism. What our government plans to do is once again reignite the investment cycle by getting banks to fund these projects once again, by making sure adequate equity is available to kickstart these projects, not merely by saying we have cleared projects, but by actually seeing implementation on the ground. I think inflation can only be checked or checkmated if we tackle the supply side. I think what a new government led by the BJP will do is ensure adequate supply of all essential commodities at the right time, at the right place, at the right price. Once we do that, interest rates can come down. We can cool the inflation and interest rate cycle to the good old days of the NDA. We know what's happened to interest rates. They have been increased 14 times in the last 3 years under this government. We need to bring down interest rates on farmers' loans, on student loans, on housing loans. It's time that we got small-scale industry and manufacturing sector to become competitive by having a moderate interest rate regime.
Okay.
On the infrastructure side, power cost, on the infrastructure side in terms of setting up a national highway program, high-speed train network, I think the country needs to massively invest to once again get adequate infrastructure on the ground. The roads program that Mr. Vajpayee had initiated was a runaway success. This government, because of its indecisive nature and massive corruption, stalled the road project. I think it's important for us to recognize that every Indian has a need for a good home, has a need for 24/7 power, running water. Gujarat has achieved that.
Yes.
Gujarat
All right,
gives every home
I have to do a
24/7
fact-checking
power.
Okay.
It gives water to every home. It has zero unemployment. The unemployment in Gujarat
Well, okay,
is the
let's again
lowest
keep looking
anywhere in the
forward,
country.
yeah.
And that is the statistic of this government. That's what the country is looking for. New jobs, infrastructure development, kick-starting the investment cycle, 24/7 power, water to every home, a toilet in every home. That will be the agenda of the BJP-led government.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Piyush, for that and for summing up that particular roadmap. Anand Sharma?
Just to give him some information, between 2001 and 2012-13, the state of Gujarat slipped when it comes to power availability, because he claimed something.
Okay,
Let's just
leave history behind.
From
sir.
the
I don't wanna
ranking,
look forward. What's wrong
from
with
the
plan?
ranking from 6th to 10th.
Okay.
In case of public amenities, including sanitation and toilets, from number 14 ranking in the country to 16. There's a long list. You can read those tables and let the BJP officially respond.
The plan looking forward.
No,
What's wrong with the
no,
agenda?
I'm
just trying to get you to that
what
specific
he's saying,
point.
I'm getting on that agenda. Today, the young people, because he's trying to give an impression, and it's my duty to correct, and that I must tell you, because I won't allow anyone to get away with untruth. He's saying everything as if nothing has been done during this period of 10 years.
But to
good
be fair,
luck
he
to
could
them.
be saying that I'm going
Good
to do
luck
this
to
better.
them.
No, he
I have
spoke
no
about
quarrel.
policy
I have no
paralysis,
quarrel.
infrastructure,
I have no
taxation,
quarrel.
retrospective
I have
tax.
no quarrel when it comes to their manifesto. They may promise everything. It is their job to come out with their manifesto. But I have to say something also to Nilotpal.
Can I pause on that for a minute? I'm going to get him to say his agenda, sir, and then after that you can take on
Okay.
Nilotpal in some detail. Nilotpal, Basu, before you come out with your agenda, your reaction to the agenda is laid out by the BJP.
I think what Mr. Goyal is saying, it will be equally appreciated in corporate boardrooms. Because what he was accusing the Congress of and the impact of the manner in which the UPA government worked, all has its policy beginnings in the NDA period. You see the Essential Commodity Act dilution, this entire handing over of infrastructure
So you don't like
for a song to private corporates.
So you don't like his agenda because you think it's paying to the
You see, they
corporate
are
lobbies.
fundamentally same. Only thing is that when he talks about a decisive government, what I have in mind is a repeat of what is happening in Gujarat. Now, for example, the Adani port, the Mundra port or the Mundra Special Economic Zone. the land has been handed over for a song, and environmental laws have been actually shelved. Or for the Tata has got 33,000 crores
Piyush
of waiver in concession for the Sanand, that nano car plant. That means for every 1 lakh car, Tatas will be receiving 60,000 rupees from Mr. Modi's government. Now, if that is decisive, then of course there is nothing in store for the large number of 1 billion plus people in this country.
Piyush Goyal, your agenda, is it an agenda that's designed, as Nilotpal Basu says, for a small section of corporates, and it makes corporate boardrooms happy, but not the rest of the country? That's, I think, what he's trying to say.
Well, I think very clearly what has happened in Gujarat has nothing to do with the corporate sector. The fact that every individual there has a working opportunity, has a job or has a self-employment opportunity, I think is important for the youth of India. The youth of India have come out of schools and colleges and are looking for working opportunities to empower them to meet their aspirations. What
precisely that is why, Mr. Goyal, I think you have delayed coming out with your manifesto, because you have to explain what is Gujarat model in that, and your lies will be caught. Precisely that is why
Vikram, I think
you have 8 months back announced your PM aspirant, but you have not yet have the time to come out with your election manifesto, which should be addressed to people for scrutinizing.
Let
Piyush reply.
When people disturb another person from talking, it shows the restlessness.
I was sitting quietly. But there has to be a limit to a human being.
Sit quietly for 2 more minutes. Piyush, respond to what Nilotpal Basu said.
Probably your co-panelists did not hear what I said. My entire thrust was on inflation. I talked about supply side. I talked about interest rates so that SMEs can survive, so that people can get student loans which are cheaper than under this government, so that agricultural farmer can get his inputs cheaper. Our entire focus is addressing price rise, addressing jobs, bringing stability into the whole ecosystem, the government ecosystem, getting corruption out of the way. I think these are the issues which are of angst to young India. An aspiring India wants a better quality of life. If we are able to address these issues, if every Indian gets a good job, not a promise of a job, but a genuine job like they got in Gujarat, if every Indian gets good quality of education and good health care, I think that is what the BJP has to offer. The corporates is not under our frame. It is unfortunate that the other parties look at corporates with jaundiced eyes. The left cannot rise from their policy of an egalitarian society, which only makes everybody poorer. I think the BJP believes in making everybody prosper. The common man will prosper when the nation prospers. Economic revival is the route to higher jobs, is the route to containing inflation. Economic revival will be the agenda so that every Indian gets a job, prices are under control, and corruption is eliminated.
Now I want to come to Nilotpal Basu. Sir, your agenda, this is what is laid out in your election manifesto, is actually very different to both what the Congress party has been saying and doing and what the BJP says it's going to do on May the 16th.
See, many of the points that I am going to make out is actually being looked at by European governments, by the United States government, by the Latin American governments, because it is very clear that so-called neoliberal global reforms actually have come to a point where it cannot take the humanity forward. So what we are saying, that we have to invest in Indians, in Indian human beings, because that is our biggest strength. I mean, how can you have a situation where you have around 3% GDP investment in education, less than 1% GDP investment in health, and you are saying that we are an economic superpower when you languish at the 99th position in the global hunger index? We have 1 billion plus people. So if we can economically empower our people, that in itself can help us in insulating ourselves from the vicissitudes of the economic environment. And there, our point is that you have to invest in, make public investment in agriculture. 60% people still depend on agriculture, whereas the contribution of agriculture in GDP is coming down. but you are having a sharp reduction in public investment in agriculture because it cannot become commercially viable.
Okay.
You see, opening up to market.
Indians, invest in agriculture.
Yeah. Therefore, you have liberalized the access to agricultural inputs in fertilizers, in seeds, in pesticides, and global multinationals are making a hay. We are saying that we are one of the least taxed countries. If you look at the emerging economy, India has only 15% tax, and continuously, last 5 years, Anand himself will bear me out, 23 lakh crores of tax waiver for the corporates. Now, has it got translated into investment? It is a corporate-friendly economy that has been run in the last 20 years, and therefore you have to tax the rich, who can afford to pay more, and you have to tax the speculative investment in this country. You are not taxing long-term capital gains. You are not taxing properly the security transaction. You are not taxing videocons who have transferred shares overseas with underlying assets in India. Therefore, there is a huge, you see, just between 2008 and 2010, 11 lakh crores of black money has moved out of the country. Now, there could be very effective mechanisms in place whereby you can actually recoup much of the benefits of quote-unquote GDP growth and bring it for the benefit of the people without handing over natural resources of this country, which is essentially a community asset, like spectrum, like your mines and minerals, like water, like land, to huge corporates for the growth of the real estate sector of the economy, who are making huge super profits at the cost of the people.